When it comes to epic achievements, there's one country which punches well above its weight. It lays claim to one of the first people to climb Everest, probably the world's best sports team. And there was a big fuss about a ring. Now, this illustrious nation has embarked on another huge adventure in its biggest city. In case you haven't guessed it by now, New Zealand is kicking off its biggest ever transport infrastructure project and first underground railway. The pioneering scheme is Auckland's best bet to prevent notorious traffic from grinding it to a halt. But surprise, surprise, building a brand new rail line under a city of 1.5 million people in a far-flung corner of the globe is far from easy. Throw in spiralling costs and a once-in-a-century pandemic, and you've got the sort of adventure that would make the one that short chap did look like a walk in the park. This is Auckland. Back in 2021, when the rest of the world was still grappling with the pandemic, it was voted the most livable city in the world. Sounds perfect, and to be honest, that's all the excuse we need. Pack your bags, B1M team, we're relocating to Auckland. Let's see what there is to do down here. Well, we could take up surfing at Pier Beach, that looks pretty awesome, or if we didn't want to get wet, there are lots of dormant volcanoes that look good for hiking. Oh, hang on, this is more like it. We could go to Wahiki, known locally as Wine Island. We'll keep remote working, but also get an office in the central business district, and then we can all live in the suburbs that surround the city, and it shouldn't take too long to commute in.
As dawn breaks across the Waitemata Harbour, Aucklanders settle into their morning routine, bumper to bumper for the slow crawl into work.
Getting in and out of Auckland by car is a real challenge. Rush hour is obviously really, really bad, but even during the day and at weekends, it's very, very busy.
This is where the dream of the Pacific paradise comes into contact with reality.
The average Aucklander spends nearly 80 hours a year in traffic on motorways.
Auckland suffered from chronic traffic congestion for decades, and it's only getting worse. In 2021, the very same year it was voted the best city in the world, it recorded its worst ever congestion. The place is literally grinding to a halt, and it's not just the impact on the economy that's a problem. A report published last year by the University of Auckland showed a direct link between the city's traffic and a decline in mental health. It wasn't always like this. In the 1950s, the city had some of the highest usage of public transport in the world. But after a strategic review in 1955, the city's infrastructure was decisively switched towards the car. But now there's hope. After decades of neglect and underinvestment, Auckland's public transport network is undergoing a revival led by this: City Rail Link, snappily shortened to CRL. The CRL is a $3.2 billion twin tunnel rail line running 3.5 kilometres from the heart of the central business district to the southern suburb of Mount Eden. 2 new stations are being constructed at Karangahape and Aotea, while the line will plug into 2 newly refurbished stations at Britomart and Mount Eden. These 2 stations are kind of the secret sauce of the new line. The project will see Britomart become a through station, and the connection at Mount Eden will create a link that unlocks Auckland's entire rail network.
So from this one link, it's the catalyst for expanding rail in northern New Zealand, because it links up east and west and north and south. So it'll bring in more than 50,000 extra people living within a commutable distance.
More frequent train services will double the network's capacity, serving 54,000 passengers an hour at peak. That's the same as 16 lanes of rush hour traffic. More on that in a minute. As New Zealand's rail project continues, its government is sure to be watching closely. The country's economy, like many, is grappling with decades-high inflation, and citizens and investors alike are gearing up for a deep recession. But experts from Morgan Stanley to Bank of America are trying to combat those losses by investing in real assets like real estate, commodities, and even fine art. That's because historically, art has served as a hedge against inflation, and just last year, even amid massive market crashes, leading auction houses had record-breaking performance. That's where Masterworks comes in. It's a fintech startup based in Manhattan's financial district. They're making it so that nearly any investor can diversify their portfolio with high-end contemporary art for just thousands of dollars. In their last 3 exits, just in the previous 60 days, Masterworks investors realised returns of 10%, 13% and 35%. Over 617,000 people have signed up so far, and demand is so high they're looking to acquire more art on a weekly basis. But the B1M subscribers can claim a free, no-obligation account at the link in the description. Now, let's get back to the video. Funding for the project was confirmed in 2016, and work began in 2018. But building the country's first underground railway has come with some challenges, including the depth of the tunnel. Now, there are 2 common ways for constructing underground railways. There's the cut and cover method, or if you want to go deep, you can burrow through the earth using a tunnel boring machine or TBM. City Rail Link used both.
The lower end in the city of Britomart, the tunnel is very, very shallow. There's also a very, very tight curve. So with the depth only being a few metres to top of the crown and the tightness of the curve, to get a machine to do that would be very, very difficult. We can actually join on just outside Altea, and because of the rest of it, heading up towards Mount Eden, we're at depths of 25, 32 metres in one place. So that was the main reason for the split in the 2.
To align with the shallow Britomart station, a 1 kilometre cut-and-cover tunnel was dug through the central business district between Britomart and Altea, and from there, a serious bit of kit was brought in for the rest of the line. This is Dame Weena Cooper, City Rail Link's $7.6 million TBM. It's 130 metres long with a cutter plate over 7 metres wide. Built by a German company in southern China, the 900-ton giant was shipped over 10,000 kilometres from Guangzhou to Auckland, all for it to dig 3.5 kilometres of Kiwi soil. An international team worked around the clock, digging 32 metres of tunnel and excavating 1,500 tonnes of spoil every day. Tunnelling was completed in September 2022 when Dame Weena Cooper broke through at Altea Station, and the team moved on to the next phase of the project, which was fitting out the tunnels. Despite the disruption caused by COVID, the tunnelling phase of the project was completed just 11 days later than scheduled.
We only actually locked down totally for just a few weeks.
But it's not all been plain sailing. In August 2021, government ministers had to intervene when the city was plunged into a strict week-long lockdown following the first reported case of COVID in 6 months. An emergency exemption was granted to allow the project to continue work, as turning off the TBM machine could have resulted in it getting stuck underground.
If a tunnelling machine stops quickly, where it's not a planned stop, and then it's going to remain stationary for an unforeseen period of time, you have a risk of the ground squeezing onto the shield. And once the ground squeezes onto the shield and gets a hold of it, the pressures go up when you try and move it because it's now got a grip.
Cost rises and supply chain issues have also taken their toll, and the original opening date of late 2024 now looks unlikely to be met. But despite all this, support for the project remains high.
The city have got right behind it and they've showed great interest. It's real bonus as the city being behind the project. Makes a huge difference when you go into work.
In 2022, Auckland was knocked off the top spot of most livable cities by the Austrian capital Vienna. Luckily, those breathtaking beaches and verdant volcanoes aren't going anywhere, and if it wants to regain the crown, perhaps City Rail Link could be its secret weapon. This video was brought to you by Masterworks. You can learn more about that at the link in the description. There's also the chance to dive deeper on New Zealand's railway and the other topics on our channel over on the World's Best Construction Podcasts, available now wherever you get your podcasts. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to get more from the definitive video channel for construction, make sure you subscribe to the B1M.